Today we're going to talk about the steps that you should take before starting a website project and why this is so important, why it's something that you should spend a little bit of time, and how doing a few of these things can really help your website project go smoother. It'll make it easier, it'll make it take faster, and then it will also result in a site that gets more leads, gets more clients, and that's what you want it to do, right? That's the end result. If you don't know who I am, my name is Allie. I am a brand stylist and a website designer, and I work with women's service providers to help them present themselves online in a way that actually gets their dream clients. So that's a big focus of mine. I am a big on strategy, big on creating brands and websites that do the work for you so that you can actually get to the thing that you love. These things that I'm going to talk about today, they will apply whether you are designing a website for the first time or if you are doing a redesign. Like maybe you had a website already, it's not working as effectively as you want, so you're starting to think about what you need to do to make it better, whether that's hire someone or if you're redesigning on your own. One thing that I've learned recently, my husband and I are working on a bathroom project in our room. It's like an en-suite bathroom. And we spent an immense time on the pre-work, drawing it all out, mapping out. We reconfigured everything. So we had to redo all the plumbing, redo all the electrical, everything. It took a lot of time to do that, like months, and to draw all that out. But one thing I learned was how crucial it was to actually have that pre-work done. And when we did that, it made the actual project go pretty smoothly because we'd have made a lot of the decisions already. And so it's same thing goes for a website. It's just as important, some of that pre-work that you do. It gives you kind of a roadmap for moving forward, and it will help you avoid redoing things later because a lot of decisions hinge on other things, right? It will avoid confusion for anyone else you're involving in the project. You'll have things mapped out and then you'll know where you're going, right? You have that map. So let's dive into those a few things that I think you should do before you start a website project. Number one is to establish your brand. And this is a little bit of a bigger thing to take care of beforehand, but it is so worth it. And when I say brand, I'm not talking about your logo or just some colors. Branding is a bigger thing than that. It's really important to helping you stand out as a business, to designating yourself like as an expert in your field, to making you stand out. And it builds trust with people that are watching you and watching your content. It builds loyalty, like a community of followers who are kind of rally around you, and it helps people recognize you from afar. So they're scrolling through social media and they see your stuff and they're able to know who it is even before they see the name. So branding does all of that stuff for you, again, which makes the other parts of your business easier. So I definitely recommend that branding be a priority before you get started on your website. I talk about the 3 pillars of branding a lot. If any of you have joined my masterclass that I have available, I go over what they are in much more depth. But basically, the 3 pillars are: number one, your target market. So knowing who you are best suited and most excited to serve. If you're trying to market to everyone, you're marketing to nobody. That's just a fact. And any marketer will tell you that. So you need to understand who that target market is and what they need from you and what they want and what their problems are. So that's what pillar number one. And pillar number two is your message. What is it about you that is different? What are the values that you have in your business? What makes you stand out? Those kinds of things. What do you want other people to understand about what you do and what you offer? That's your message. Number 3 is the aesthetics. So aesthetics are a very crucial part of your brand, but you want to make sure you're making aesthetic choices based on pillar 1 and number 2, right? You want it to be appealing to your target market. You want to make sure your aesthetics are sending that message that you want to send. So for instance, I talk a lot about color psychology. Like there's a lot of psychology packed into color. You want to make sure your colors are sending the right message and not contradicting what you're trying to say. So those are kind of the 3 pillars of branding that I recommend you do a little work on beforehand. There's a number of ways to do this. I do have a challenge. You're welcome to join in. This is called Brand Your Brilliance, and this is focusing more on the aesthetic portion of your brand. I will mention the first 2 pillars because they are important, and I want that to always be part of your decision making. But we're going to create mood boards for your brand, come up with a brand personality, choose your colors, and at least that will give you the framework. And that's a great thing to do before you dive into a website project. If you're at a point where you're like, no, it's time in my business to dive a little deeper into my brand. I know it's something that I've been putting off and I need to spend some time on. I have both a branding course that's more of the DIY option, but with guided expertise and tools and everything you need to do it well. Or I have done for you packages. Number 2 is decide your website's goals. So I know the obvious thing here is like, well, I want people to book with me, right? And that's all what we all want our websites to do. But a lot of times when people come to your site for the first time, they're not ready to make that commitment or take that big step. They're still just kind of figuring out who you are. So you want to have some intermediary steps there, intermediary goals to lead them to, so that they will actually, stay in your world, right? Otherwise, there's a good chance that they're going to leave and never come back and forget you exist. So, I mean, yes, book a call couldn't be a very good one. That can be one of your goals, but also make sure there's some like little smaller steps that they can take, such as offering a freebie for them to join your email list. Or maybe you have a blog that you want to kind of guide people through, or you want them to subscribe to your podcast, watch your video feed, whatever that is. Some people have an app they want people to download, or a tool. And so those are things that you want to make sure are front and center, and that all paths in your site lead to these goals. And it's important to know these things in advance before you begin the project, because you're going to build the entire structure of your site around them, right? So think about those things, get strategic, really think about what applies well to your business and where you are. Number 3 is to write your copy. And a lot of people do this backwards. They get a template on a, drag and drop site, or wherever whatever site platform you're on. And then they try to write their text into the boxes. And this is like putting yourself in a box where you're kind of stuck to this certain, size. You can only say certain things in a certain place. And it really can hamper your creativity and your ability to write well and say what you need to say on your site. So I always recommend get out a Word document, or a Google Doc or whatever, and spend some time just writing out page by page what you want the copy to say. And make sure you're thinking about your messaging, that you're communicating to your visitor, that you're talking to your target market, right? And then once you have that kind of dialed in, then you can take that copy and put it in the site. And it might take some tweaking and moving it around and maybe cutting it up a little bit. That's great. And that's part of the process. And it's not going to be exactly how you originally wrote it on the document, but it will give you just so much more freedom to say what you really need to say. Here's the thing, and I'm hesitant to say this as a website designer, but it's the truth. Copy is one of the most crucial parts of your website. In fact, it might be more crucial than the design. Actually, it's the messaging and the words that you are speaking to your ideal client. And so it needs to be done in a way that this isn't just your average copywriting. So a lot of people are like, well, I got an A in English in high school, so I can write my own copy. And it's just very different. There's a special technique to it. There are best practices. There's an art to it and a strategy. And so if copy is not your gifting, then I do recommend you hire it out. And it's actually, before I was a designer, I was a copywriter. So it's something that I include as an add-on in my project. So all of my website clients have the option of having me write their copy for them. Or you can hire someone else too to do that before. And, if that's something that is not a skill that you have at all, then I recommend it. Or if you're like, well, I really definitely need copy in my business, I need to learn, then spend some time learning a little bit about like copywriting best practices. Number 4 is to pick your platform. So now that you have all those other things done, you have to decide where your website is going to live, what software you're going to use. It used to be had to hire a developer to do this for you, and they would custom code something out of ones and zeros, and it was a much more difficult process. But now we have so many platforms available. There's just like a bajillion, and it can be kind of overwhelming to know where to end up. And everyone has an opinion, right, about what one's the best. A lot of the website designers will tell you that WordPress is the only option. Like if you're serious about your business, you can only be on website. It's the best one only. I disagree. I think that WordPress is an amazing platform. It's very powerful. It's a great tool for some people, for the people that it's right for. It is not for everyone. It has a steep learning curve. There's a lot of maintenance that goes into it. You're kind of on your own as far as support. So if you are not techie, or this is not something you want to spend a lot of time learning, there are a lot of other drag and drop sites that would be easier for you. And I think people put a lot of pressure on themselves to make this decision, and they're going to stay there forever. Well, most businesses redesign their sites every 5 to 7 years. Pick the platform that is good for you right now. Obviously, you want some room to grow, right? You don't want it to limit you, but in 5 to 7 years, if your business scales and you can redesign your site on a different platform, that is fine. So you don't need to put so much pressure on yourself to make the perfect decision. Just find something that works for your brain. Most platforms have some sort of free trial, or maybe they have a free version. And so you can go and try them out and see what works for you. And that's something I always talk with people who come to me and looking for a site. We'll talk through, like, what's kind of your tech ability? What are your goals with your site? And then I can usually point you to the right platform that it's a good fit. So if you are brand new to business, then I would say just go get a drag and drop site and pick a template and do the best that you can. And if you go that route, I do have website audits available. It's not that much money to hire me to do that. And I can sit down with you and look through your site, go over it, and find ways that we can make it even better. And so that's a good option for someone who's like just getting started. Maybe you can't hire a designer to, design something for thousands of dollars, but you could get a professional's eyes on your site and make sure that it's working for you. Because if you invest all that time, I mean, time is money. If you invest in time in putting together a website, you want it to work for you. You want it to actually get results. If you've been in business for a couple of years though, and you've have some clients under your belt, your business is rolling, at that point, I feel like you shouldn't waste the time just tinkering it with yourself. You've got other things to do. Then at that point, I think it is worth it to hire a designer, because an expert is going to know so many of the little things that you might not understand about user interface and user experience and all of those things. I just posted a couple of days ago about how my husband had told me on Saturday, he's like, why don't you go get a spa treatment for Mother's Day? And so I'm like, okay, that sounds fun. So I looked up a bunch of places in my area, like places that do like pedicures or massages or whatever. And I found one that was like the perfect fit. I was like, this is where I want to go. They have what I need. They're in the price range I want, but I couldn't find the hours. So I'm looking around on their site. I'm looking at their Google listing. I'm like, I don't even know if they're available this weekend. So I went somewhere else, and that's all it took. And so there's a million things like that can kind of, even like tiny little small things that a lot of people don't even think to notice. And a lot of us get blind spots in our own businesses as well. So people are fickle. They move on very quickly, and it can be really easy to lose them if things aren't built correctly. And so that's why I think it is good to hire an expert. You want to make sure, though, whoever you hire has an eye for strategy, like that is a priority for them, making sure that it's not just like, they're not just someone who's going to be like, I'm going to build you a pretty site and call it good, but who'll actually think through the strategy with you, that will actually map things out and give you something that works. So definitely recommend that. That is something that is a big priority for me, that I always spend a lot of time with on my clients, is their goals and making sure the website meets those goals. So if you are ready to take that step, if you're like, okay, that's me, ready to dive on a full project, get my site up and rolling, making sure it's getting me leads and getting me clients on a regular basis while I'm sleeping, go ahead and put call in the comments, and we can book a call and talk about which one of my packages would be a good fit for you. So I would love to help your business grow in that way, and hope you all are having a wonderful week. I'll see you next week.